Well, I had the privilege to go last week as well. It was a lot of fun. It was, as far as I can remember, it's just like another Lake Yale. The program is the same. The people are just as nice as and on fire for God as you can ever imagine. Before I start sharing what I wrote earlier, I want to tell you about Pastor, we call him just Pastor Lee. His name is Li Baoming. Actually, he had, a couple of years ago, we invited him and he came and preached to us over a weekend, like a special speaker kind. So Li Baoming, that was the pastor. That was several years ago. And I started talking to him. He really had this pastoral heart because he knows that we don't have a pastor here, and everything he does, he always come to drag me and then explain it to me and explain why they did this and the kids and what he did with them, how much time he spent with them and all. So he had a very like pastoral heart towards our church. It makes me so jealous of Jacksonville Church. And he would come and tell, and he shared, he goes, and I remember when he became a pastor, I remember when Jacksonville did not have an English pastor, and he said he has been a pastor there for more than 10 years now. Wow. So it's been 10 years ever since we know him. He went back to Taiwan, he studied. His real passion was actually to be a missionary, but then God called him differently, and then he stayed and he became the English pastor. So for like 10 years, he built up this youth ministry, this English ministry there. And there were a lot of challenges. It wasn't smooth, it wasn't like easy. He had to fight with old people, stuff like that. But then he got his job done because he worked very, very closely with God. He had a vision, he set it up, and he worked toward it. So if there's any opportunity, I would like to invite him to come and be our special speaker. Then you guys will all get to know him. You guys probably see him around in in Lake Yale. But so he is really, really cool. He's super active. It was 50 degrees and then he's perspiring and he's like, oh, I'm so hot. We're all like wearing jackets. He said, I'm so hot, because he's super, super active. Really, really, really cool guy. His wife is even sweeter. Oh my gosh, just like another sweet, sweet pastor wife. Like, because she speaks really sweet and very gentle. You want to talk to her. You all want to talk to her and like get advice from her. She gives really, really good advice. So Jacksonville Church, if you go to the church, you will find the church very familiar because the church layout is just like our church. Exactly the same, because we share the same blueprint. And they built the church after we did. And they kind of maybe made it a little bit bigger here, a bit smaller here. They have a kitchen there, the classrooms are here, and then the big sanctuary is all the same. But what is so cool is, this only happened a year ago. So this church is kind of on this side, and they have, across the street, there was a big piece of land. So they bought that piece of land and was going to build it, but they didn't. They kind of sit there for a while. And then on this side where the church is, and around them is, there was a warehouse, big, huge building. And then another rehab facility, the rehab. So people go there to recover and stuff like that. So a couple years ago, they were like, how do we develop this piece of land? How do we do that? Then this rehab people came and then they started negotiating, talking. Anyway, long story short, they exchanged land. So they gave that piece of land to the rehab and then they worked there. So where you saw all these pictures, where we stayed was formerly a rehab center. They turned the big hall into the worship center. Made it really, really cool. It was very contemporary. All worship was held there. And then this was a rehab center, right? So there's a lot of rooms. And that's where we spent our rooms. The boys had all these rooms and the ladies all was on this side of the room. And there's so many classrooms and we all slept on the floor. That was fun. But like on a regular basis, all these classrooms are Sunday school and whatever, Bible study. And they do a lot of things there. So it was really, really cool. And then they had another building which is half completed kind of a warehouse, which they will do multi-purpose function, when they have a big event going on. So really, really exciting where there is church, where there is leaders, where there is vision, it goes. Okay? So I was really, really jealous of the church. God leads us differently, right? So we will be there as well. The young people there, they are really, really young. They are high school kids. The youth group there is just like you all. They don't have college students over there. The four who share, like Guangmin has said, they are freshmen. They just graduated. So this is their second semester in college. But the depths of their sharing just shows the maturity of the foundation that they have collected from having been taught very well from the church. And then they have that depth and that close relationship that they have, and that's how they bring it back to share with us. I will connect them as I share. So my questions to y'all who receive, all of you would have received my email. You could choose to ignore my email, or you could choose to respond. I have very few people who responded. Maybe tonight you will share, I don't know. But it is a reflection of your relationship with God. And never mind. All right, so I'm going to say, my first question was, what are the two things that you have learned? All right. So the biggest thing I've learned was from the last man who shared. His name was John. He was a very, very young man, but he was a deacon of the church. He was the head of the deacon of the church this year. He said that to cope with distraction from God, or idols, or any addiction to game, addiction to your phone, addiction to whatever things that we have, right? The way to cope with it is not to come up with plans and to just don't do it because you're still depending on yourself. The way to do it is to be captured by a greater beauty. And where and who is this greater beauty other than God, right? Actually, Joy and my take on this whole event are pretty similar. My 2 points are pretty similar. To be captured by a greater beauty, that's all you have to do. You fix your eyes on God, and everything else is going to fall into place. But if our eyes are always in the phone, if our eyes are always in the things of this world, then we can work, and we work, and we work, and we will never stop working. So that's the point. He presented it so well, so very well. Where is my God? Where's my? Sorry. I can't find it. Oh, here it is. So to be captured by a greater beauty was one thing. And then the other thing that I've learned is to be intentional. You have to be intentional in your walk with your God. Do you have a God? Is God in your life? If he is, are you being intentional about growing in your walk with him? Do you just wish that I would roll off the bed every morning and then I'm going to be walking close with God? Or would you want to roll off your bed every morning and spend the first few minutes of your life in prayers first? Ask God to be present in your life for the day. Maybe even spend your first few minutes of your day with God first. So that's intention. Just like you guys have to make an intention to study and do well in a test. Do you just I'm going to ace my test without studying? No, right? Everything you have to work for it. So it's with intention. And it is with intention, then can you grow in Christ, all right? You have to be intentional in reading the Bible. You have to be intentional in coming to church. You have to be intentional about serving church, God in church. You have to be intentional in loving other people in the love of Christ, right? There are a lot of not very lovable people around us, isn't it? But you got to be intentional about showing God's love to these people. All right, we'll keep it short. And then number 2, how has God changed you? God has again reminded me that He is beautiful, He is almighty, He's love, He's faithful, and He's patient. I'm humble and grateful that He still loves me and is so patient with me even when I have sinned against Him again, and again. I will take my eyes off the phone. See, I'm talking about myself when I say about phone. I will take my eyes off the phone and I'll start to look around me to seek His beauty in creation. All right? So if I take my eyes off the phone and were to just look up and focus on God, everything will fall into place. Everything will seem a lot smaller. All right? Third question I asked was, one way you will live your life differently now. I will procrastinate less and be more intentional in my life at church, at home, and at work. All right, so that is how I want to live my life differently. Again, it has to be intentional. Okay, so I wish y'all had come with us. But I think there will be next year. So next year, y'all start preparing yourself and then be there next year, okay?